Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend, as we're going to do our best to recap everything that happened over the weekend. Get into, of course, Razorback Football, not only the game, but also coaching search, which seems like it's on people's minds still today. But we'll have that, get some Razorback basketball, some things around the SEC, look at the college sports landscape, best and worst of the weekend, and, of course, your chats, as we'll dive into that as well. But, fellas, it's a Monday. How are the vibes here in mid-November?
Well, the SEC ruined them because they took away my night game next week. But, you know, other than that, I'm hanging in there. I'll persevere, I guess. Happy to be here today.
Yeah, happy to be here. Happy to see you guys. Welcome to the best damn sports show in the state, where we talk about real things. You know, I always view this show as like my hiding spot, you know, from the rest of the big, bad, scary world. I get to come here and have fun for an hour and a half, and then I go back to being in the big, bad, scary world. I hope Hog fans feel that way, where you're having all these meaningless conversations on Twitter, on the message boards, on the Discord, on whatever. Now we get to have real conversations. We get to talk ball here. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Plenty of ball to be talked about, too, because as you all know, we go through a little bit of a later start on Mondays with Bobby Petrino. At least, I guess, maybe, possibly one more early week press conference that he will have, which will be next Monday. And then just entering the final two games of the season. And I don't know how you guys feel. Actually, I do know how you guys feel. I think we're all ready for this thing just to be over and to just move on and to just get through, which, you know, we'll talk about it. We'll still watch the games. We'll still, you know, do our pregame and postgame presented by SARACEN. We'll do all those things, and we hope everyone taps in. But man, it's just, as time goes on, it's been drug out. The last 6-7 weeks of, or however long that you've had this interim situation, have felt like years. And I think everybody's just at the point where it's like, man, even if the coach, you want to get the best coach, but even from the coaching search, just be like, dude, just hire somebody. Let's get this over with. Let's just go. Because this is just, people are just tired of it, man. And they're frustrated and they're almost like bored. And I don't know. It's just a very weird time. I just wish it would just all come to an end very quickly.
Yeah, me too. I think, you know, one day, probably many years down the road, when I, you know, want to feel pain, I'll choose between, you know, burning myself with lit cigarettes or reliving this Arkansas football season and just all the ridiculousness that's gone into it. I see all the tweets. We see it every week. It's just updated, right? The best 2-in-blank team in college football history. And it was 3 and then 4 and then 5 and then 6 and 7. We just keep rolling and rolling and rolling up there. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know it's been unreal how good this team is at finding a different way to lose in the exact same way every single Saturday. Like, it's crazy. We know it's going to happen. They probably should just get their ass kicked by a really angry Texas this weekend, but we all know exactly how it's going to go down, man. It's like it's hitting repeat on the Twilight Zone every Saturday. So I'm with you. I'm ready for it to be over. I hate that it's gone this way for some of the guys in that locker room, but yeah, man, time for a fresh start with this football program, no doubt.
Yeah, you know, I feel like this coaching search in this football season, there's honestly a lot of parallels, and really that's similar to any sports season ever. You start the season with the highest of hopes of, hey, you know, this could happen, that could happen. Maybe we'll have this fairy tale ending. Here's what's going to happen. Then you get into the season, you realize, okay, we're probably not getting the fairy tale ending, but we could still have a good team. We could still have a good season. We could still do some good things. And then the season goes on, and you're like, okay, well, maybe we're not going to be good, but, you know, we can at least show some pride. We should show some fight. We could still make the fan base proud. And then you kind of realize, okay, that's probably not happening either. And so now you're at the point where you're like, all right, let's just get this thing over with. The coaching search, I wouldn't say has had that many levels of drop-off, but, you know, you start off and you're like, hey, maybe they could do something crazy here. Maybe they could pull a big fish. Maybe they could get James Franklin. Maybe they could do all this. Then you kind of realize, okay, yeah, you're probably not getting that fairy tale ending. And we do all agree, at this stage of the Arkansas coaching search, there's not a fairy tale ending. Like, they're going to eventually hire a coach. It's not going to be this massive, groundbreaking announcement that takes the world by storm. And so now, as fans, we're doing what we always do, kind of doing those mental gymnastics of, okay, we're not going to get a great coach that everyone else wants. Okay, can we at least just get, like, someone that we can hang our hat on, someone that we can get behind? And who knows if we'll get that or not, but I think we do all agree we're ready for this thing to be over.
Yeah, and, you know, I think that we can all agree to the Bobby Petrino angle of it is not going to happen, even though, there's been some positives, which I want y'all's take on this. And if no, I'm going to get accused of glazing for Bobby Petrino because that's just what I do. But again, want to reiterate, I don't think he needs to be the permanent head coach. I think, and it has nothing against him personally or him as a coach. I just feel like you need a complete and total reset of everything. But is it just me to that, or should I not make a note of this team still like fighting and playing close and Petrino finding ways to do that? I know that sounds so cliche because it doesn't matter if you don't win, but I think that might be the most surprising thing is even through, what is it now? I know it's been 8 straight losses, but I believe Petrino's been 5 of them, but like they're still like playing hard. They're still almost there. And I know it doesn't matter, but just, I don't know. It's just something I would not have expected to keep seeing with the way that this team keeps losing, for them to keep trying and to keep fighting. And again, maybe I'm looking over it too much or thinking too much of it, but I just think it's something that maybe needs to be noted, at least in the footnotes of a Bobby Petrino resume, if he ever ends up going somewhere else.
Yeah, you can throw an asterisk in there if you want to. That's fine. Like I'll accept that. You could look at that, I think, one of two ways, John, and it's kind of what you were saying there. Hey, that's good to see. It could have really gone off the rails. It could have kept trending the direction it did from that Notre Dame game, and we could have really been, we think we're just checked out on it now. Like, think if these are all just blowouts and ass whoopings, and they completely let go of the rope and all that. And then the flip side of the coin is you can look at it and say, okay, all these games are ending the exact same way they did under Sam Pittman. So what was the point of firing that dude and paying him all that buyout money the way that you did when you just could have kept him and then got this done at the end of the season? It's not like you've hired a coach yet. So I see it from both standpoints there. Congratulations to them for playing hard and still losing.
Yeah, I come back to kind of what I said at the beginning of this, which is that it's very possible Bobby Petrino does a pretty good job, and it's not good enough. And even though they clearly haven't won any games, so I don't know if I can qualify it as a pretty good job, because I do somewhat agree with some of the sentiment that I see sometimes. It's like, hey, these losses, they aren't Bobby's fault. And in a nutshell, sure, they're not Bobby's fault, but they also aren't going to change the circumstances, change the narrative around this football program, big picture. The thing I keep coming back to is the roster. And how bad the roster is. Now, it's, there's some decent players here and there, but like you look at it, it's like if you were trying to make a case to hire Bobby to just kind of run with it, the reason teams typically do that is because they want to keep what they have in place. That's why A&M baseball, they just ran it back with that coach because they were like, hey, we want to keep what we have here in place. That's why Tennessee ultimately decided to roll with their guy. We just want to keep what we have in place. If you're the Arkansas Razorbacks, why the hell would you want to keep what you have in place? Like that would be the main reason for doing it. And that reason is completely null and void. And so as much as I think Bobby is a solid coach, and I think he's done a pretty good job at, we were talking before the show about how hard it is to keep everyone rowing the same direction. I think he's done a pretty good job at that. Not good enough to where it really changes the perception of everything nationally. But yeah, I think it's okay for us to say, decent job, Bobby. We respect the effort, good hard work and men of faith you've got working there. But we don't really, we're good here. We don't need you. We don't need any of these players on this roster. I know that's an oversimplification and kind of rude, but frankly, like, do you guys look at the roster and you're like, well, man, if they keep Bobby, they could keep X, Y, and Z. I don't really think there's any case to be made one way or the other.
Yeah, I don't. I just, because of the transfer portal and the madness that is, I just don't see why that would be the case. And in fact, you talked about, trying to keep everybody together. That was, Bobby Petrino did have a press conference, and, it's kind of one of those things where, hey, if you ask him about the Texas matchups, it's like, who really cares? But he was asked about, trying to keep the team together. And his answer, I will admit, was a little bit surprising to me. Take a listen.
It feels like it's harder. I think it feels like it's harder because you're so disappointed after the game and after the loss. And, I told the guys last night how proud I am of them by their attitude and being good teammates and sticking together. And there's no reason to stop now. We might as well continue what we're doing and continue competing hard. And it's kind of a really weird anomaly, I guess you would say, that we do this deal where offensive, defensive team wins. 4 of those games should have been wins from that sheet, and then they're not. But that's an outlier. Every one of them's an outlier. So it's like, what the heck? So I don't know. We just keep battling away.
Did Bobby get a little bit emotional in the middle of that answer? Did you guys sense that, or was it just me thinking his voice was cracking?
Yeah, I don't know which it was, but I feel you. There was a point right there where I was like, is he about to get a little teary-eyed on us here? Yeah, I mean, the thing that's not accounted for on those spreadsheets is a winning mentality and a killer instinct and a winning culture that's in place. And so on paper, it might look like you should have won a lot of these games this year and you didn't because of those reasons. And there's a lot of people that have contributed to that, which stinks. I know that they hate it and everything, but I also found it interesting, the comments there about the, being great teammates and, doing this thing the right way and all that. And I'm thinking, man, I've seen the photos going viral of the whole team giving the fans the bird at LSU. You've lost 7 damn games in a row, and you're, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. So it could have gone a lot worse than it has, but I don't really have a whole lot of warm and fuzzies about the way this has gone down. I'm not going to look back on this fondly, personally.
Certainly not. And if I'm being 100% honest with you, I will never, like, we maybe on, like, if we're playing trivia one day, we'll like be like, oh yeah, Taylor Green, it was he was who had the yardage record or whatever. But I'm not going to remember anything from this era, this season. Not this era, this season specifically, because I will remember some things from the Sam Pittman era. But I got to push back on what Bobby said about them being outliers a little bit. He was like, yeah, all these things keep happening, but they're outliers. By definition, that is not what outlier means. Y'all remember when we did the mean, median, and mode in math class that one day? What Arkansas has going on in the losing is a lot closer to the mode, the thing you see the most often. If it happens 8 times in a row, is it really an outlier, And, I get Bobby's point of view. I get the point he's trying to make of, hey, yeah, we're closer than it seems, blah, blah, blah. But I think that is a big thing that's been hanging over Arkansas football for 5 or 6 years is every time they lose a game, the people in that locker room, the people in this fan base keep trying to find ways to justify it and excuse it. And until that stops, you're going to keep getting the same kind of things. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like Bobby's fault. I don't think he's like, the guy we should point to and be like, screw you, Bobby, it's your fault. But, I definitely don't think he's like helping the problem. I think it's a very top down cultural thing, like you said, Curtis. And that's why I also think like you just have to, I don't think there's any case against cleaning shop, cleaning house, and just starting from scratch.
Yep. For some reason, some people will still tweet at me though. Hey, Bobby's the guy. It's like,
I know, man.
I know, it's like, I get it, but no, just not happening. But I tell you what is happening. We are doing a giveaway, by the way, this week with Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, because on Friday, we're going to be live from Alumni Hall. We'll tell you a little bit more about this. And we've talked about from all of our content about the great job that Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas does, where they come out to you and they professionally install Christmas lights as well as Halloween lights. Well, we did a Halloween giveaway, and now we're doing a Christmas lighting giveaway. So if you scan that QR code right there on your screen, it's going to take you to our website, or you can just go to InsideArkansas.com and check it out. And you can submit a form to be able to be in the running. It'll be a random drawing that we'll have on Friday at Alumni Hall. And the winner gets a full free install for Christmas from Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas. You're not going to get any better because they're going to provide the materials. You can do it any color, any pattern. They're going to give you the breakdown of what it's going to look like. They're going to put it up. They're going to take it down. And anything that happens, whether it's some lights go out or anything like that, they'll come out and fix it right away. So be sure to get on the drawing of that, or you can text our guy Brett for a free estimate at 479-459-1380. It's 479-459-1380. It's Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas. So, Andrew, sorry, were you about to bring up a point there before I had that? Or
no,
did
not
you
really.
just okay? Just wanted to make sure that because I know you wanted to keep talking about Bobby Petrino and the coaching and all of that stuff. So just didn't want to cut you short.
That's too damn
all that.
bad.
No more Bobby takes for me.
Yep. You're fresh out of them. So, but listen, it's again, you got 2 games. We'll see. I just automatically assume Arkansas is going to lose to Texas by a possession and lose to Missouri by possession. But I guess if the news of anything, no more night games, guys. 2:30 for Texas and 2:30 for Missouri. So there you have it for what that's worth, as if anybody really cares. So, but the night game for the Iron Bowl. So that's cool. That's cool for them. Whatever works. But we'll still have the game, still have all that great stuff. But of course, the coaching search continues on. And I know we talked a little bit about it on the post game presented by Bet Saracen on Saturday. But it certainly looks like the whole like James Franklin thing is now gone. He's no longer a candidate, if you want to put it that way. And now it moves on to some possible other names getting thrown around. To know that the Silverfields, the Eric Morrises, these names that got Kane Womack getting thrown into the mix. But just in general, I'll throw it to you guys from the weekend. Still, a lot of things happened, but really nothing happened. But just what did you guys make of the latest of the coaching search fiasco that we find ourselves in from the weekend and the madness surrounding it?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different stuff out there. You know what I mean? Like it's there's not really a whole lot of consensus in terms of where this is headed. Some of that's by design. Some of it might be because they're pivoting post Franklin. You know, who knows what it is. So, I can only really speak on, kind of what I've been told. But this is a tough thing to talk about because we get into this all the time. It's like we live in this black and white world. It seems like where, people and Razorback fans are so passionate about all this, and I don't blame you for feeling that way. You should be. And so you want absolutes. It's one extreme or the other. They have all the money or they have no money. They're getting a grand slam hire or they're, hiring another offensive line coach. And really, it always kind of it lies in the middle somewhere. And people hate the word fluid, but that's what this stuff is, man. It's just like recruiting. And so, anybody who said that Franklin, was being pursued and they were, heavy on it, whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not true just because he's not coming here. And it doesn't mean the world's ending either. And so, we'll see what they wind up doing. I tend to think that Arkansas is lining up some contingencies with, the candidates, maybe somebody out of the AAC. Eric Morris has been a name that was dropped on me as one to keep a very close eye on. And that doesn't mean that he's the hired. It doesn't mean that Arkansas is broke. And it doesn't mean that the football program is in shambles. They very well may be working on something else behind the scenes and taking some other swings. And you have something in place if it doesn't work out. Who the hell knows? And will that coach or another coach have as much NIL backing and resources put behind him as a James Franklin would? Probably not. But that doesn't mean that they're going to be in a terrible situation either. So everybody wants exact answers, and the truth is, I don't think anybody really knows, and it's all dependent on how these dominoes fall.
Yeah, a lot of times I get frustrated because people will come into our chat and they will have heard something from somewhere else and then kind of throw it at us and like we're supposed to answer for it. And it's like, dude, I don't, where you got that from? Like that has nothing to do. And I think another thing that I've noticed happening a lot is, there's a lot of people who are very plugged in that have been speaking about this thing. Of course, you guys have your sources. Trey has his sources. There's people on Discord and people on message board that have their sources. And I think everyone's kind of playing this game of like, let's find out who the right one is. Like, let's find out who the one that's got the good stuff. And I think that honestly, I think you should be reading everything and, seeing what NACO says, seeing what this says. I don't think there's one guy out here that's like got the right answer. And like, we got to find who that is. And we got to weed out all the bad ones. I think a lot of these guys get good information. I think a lot of people, I know, some of these people that, you can talk to and you can get their thoughts and you can get some information on it. And the truth, like you said, Curtis, lies somewhere kind of in the middle there. And honestly, the truth hasn't even been determined yet. And so it's really tough for someone to know the definitive answer. And that's why I always caution against anytime that you come to the chat and you're like, oh, well, so-and-so told me and they know for a fact that this is happening. Well, I can pretty easily dismiss that. And so I think the fan base is at a stage of the coaching search where they're just at a loss for words. They don't know where to go. They don't know who to trust. They don't know what information to get. And honestly, I feel you because it's just as hard for everybody. Both of you guys, the people you talk to, it's kind of hard to find out who's telling you real stuff, who's telling you stuff you can trust. And so it's even harder for fans who are trying to get this through sixth and seventh sources and trying to decipher all of this. But the one common theme that all of the messaging this past week or so has seemed to point to is that Arkansas has whiffed on James Franklin. Now that's not a fact, despite the fact that there's already a graphic made of him as a Virginia Tech head coach that hasn't been officially announced. I don't know if he's officially signed or whatever, but it does seem like Arkansas was, initially their big plan was, hey, we're going to push a bunch of money together. We're going to raise it all and we're going to get James Franklin. That's our option one. And then we'll move on to other contingencies, like you said, Curtis. And I think we are now at that contingencies section where you have people that work for the university coming out and being like, no, they never spoke to James Franklin whatsoever. There was no contact. And now, that message is kind of reflected in what Trey is saying. That's also reflected in what you guys are hearing and reflected in what some of these other, all these other names that are popping up. Me personally, I'm just kind of disappointed that we have reached the Kane Womack as a real candidate section of the Arkansas coaching search. That's when you're in a bad spot. I'm not saying that Arkansas is going to hire Kane Womack, and I'm not saying that they're screwed and they're not going to be able to get a good coach. But once you start hearing Kane Womack's name floated, it's like, damn, this isn't a fairy tale we're living in here.
We call this the Darrell Walker section of the coaching search. So
for sure, which would be fine as long as Darrell Walker isn't the actual coach. No disrespect to Darrell Walker, we love you. But yeah, I think I'm hoping that we get that random Cal out of nowhere. But like you said, Curtis, I'm kind of okay with the idea of, okay, the big dogs might have turned you down, so let's just get a group of 5 guy and call it a day.
Yeah, it's like, we've all been through coaching searches, and we all knew that this was going to be a long process because of the firing and the interim situation. But it's like, I know of all the coaching searches, this is by far the one I never want to go through ever again. Like, this is not the type of situation. I know it's unorthodox and doesn't always happen, but even with the Chad Morris thing, you fired him with 2 games left. But 7 games, 9 weeks essentially left. And it's just been over. And I mean this in a funny way, but I'm like, this is a game. This changes people, man. Like, this type of stuff changes people. It changes fans. It changes media members. It changes to where it's like the tensions are so high and the stakes are so high that it gets intense and emotional. And I get it. And I respect it because it's something a lot of people care about. And here's the thing about it, guys. We can talk about and people can disagree about which coaches they want, because let's be honest, no matter who the coach is, somebody's going to say no to him. But I think everybody can at least get on board and understand the stakes of this search and why it's so important, like why Arkansas has to make sure that they truly get this one right. And I think that that's where the intensity comes from for everybody. Now, with the James Franklin thing, I think that it's safe to say, at least I believe, that they whiffed on him. But as I tried to make mention in my Locked On as well as other places, just because you whiff on that guy does not mean like, disaster area, you suck, you're not going to end up with a good coach. Because that's just not a thing. It happens all the time where people miss out on one of their top choices and they find out it was a blessing in disguise. A lot of cases that could happen.
Chris Beard.
Chris Beard being a prime example of it. So it can go just a lot of different directions and a lot of different places. But at the end of the day, it's just people have to understand just how these coaching searches work as far as the madness and the monotony of all of it. Because there's been some searches that were only last for 2 weeks. And when you have all that madness in 2 weeks, it can be easily handled. It can be easily fought through. And, you actually hear legitimate stuff a little bit more often and a lot of people reporting it. But then when it's this long process, man, it just makes it a lot more difficult for people who want to know. But yet sometimes there's just nothing to know at these points.
Yeah, this was bound to happen. I could feel the animosity reaching a fever pitch over the course of the weekend. It got to the point where, the folks were biting the hand that feeds them kind of deal. You know what I mean? Demanding some answers. And I don't like what you have to say and everything. That's okay. But yeah, most of these coaching searches, they take course over like a 2-3 week span at most. Sometimes it's just a matter of a few days at the end of the year because you're in such a hurry to get something in place. Maybe they were working on it before a firing was announced, but the 2+ month aspect of this is what makes it crazy. And when we're still, I think very clearly, a couple weeks out or whatever, you combine that with all the stuff that, starts getting thrown out there, rumor mill wise, and maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Like I have also heard that they have their guy. Do I necessarily believe that they have their guy in place waiting to announce him? No, it's like I said, I kind of feel like they probably just have their contingency in place, their backup in place. If the top end of the plans or whatever don't work out. But then people are like, well, why aren't we announcing it? Why hasn't it happened yet? What's going on? Oh, these other jobs are open up. Oh, we're starting to hear about candidates elsewhere. Are we going to be screwed? Are we done for? Is there a duel between, donors and boosters and whoever the last man standing is gets their pick? What does this look like? And it's just going to take a little bit of time, but the closer and closer we get to decision-making time and the further removed we get from the initial excitement of the search and then like the realization from another segment of the fan base, it's like, oh yeah, so there's just no chance in hell that it's going to be Bobby Petrino now. So I have to consider other options. people are just getting worked up about it, man. And like I said, it's people are passionate. I understand it, but it's still going to be a little bit of a process here. There will be more twists and turns. I'll tell you right now, you're going to hear some more stuff that you don't like about the way that this is going down. And then you're going to hear some names that get thrown out there that you get way, way excited about that wind up not being a thing. It's just going to happen over the course of the next few days.
Yeah, I like that. I like what you said about the possibility that Arkansas, quote unquote, has their guy, but it's their contingency plan of like, hey, if this guy says no and this guy says no, okay, well then Eric Morse, you're the head coach, or Alex Galesh, you're the head coach. I like that so much that I might even co-sign that. And to be clear, that is not our way of saying this is a fact and you should operate as if this is a fact. Because there are two things that were, I don't want to say reported, but rumored at the beginning of this whole thing that have been proven to not be facts. And those two facts were, one, that Hunter Yurachek has no involvement in this whole thing. In fact, the three of us, when the first thing started happening with the coaching search, we were kind of the belief that Hunter Yurachek wasn't going to be super involved, that it was very possible that they were doing all this kind of behind his back and that they were hoping to get someone in place. And then we weren't even 100% sure if Hunter Yurachek was going to be at Arkansas in the future. I feel like in the last 10 days, that has kind of not been like proven wrong. Like, I don't know for sure that Hunter Yurachek is the athletic director forever, but there are a lot of signs pointing to him being much more involved than we want him to be. And another thing that was, again, not reported, rumored, was that Arkansas had all this money, that they had discovered all this. Oh, now all of a sudden they have $25 million coming this way, $25 million coming this way, and they're going to have $100 million here, and we're going to put it all together, and it's going to be this huge thing. And so then I've seen people today who have been like, okay, so we're not getting Franklin, but like, we're still getting all that money though, right? Like, we still have like all these hundreds of millions of dollars. It's like, well, no, not really. And you probably shouldn't have operated as though that was a fact. And so it is kind of funny to see the longer this thing plays out, some of the things that were reported very definitively have been proven to be wrong. And so now we're kind of at a stage where it is kind of interesting. I think a lot of the fans, like I said, don't know what to believe because they have operated for multiple weeks believing something in their brain that is not true at all, but now that's like kind of skewed the way they view this whole thing. And so it's just a whole mess.
Well, I'll tell you what, I want to continue to talk about that with everything that's going on and from the beginning of the search to now, too. But I want to remind everybody that Blue Ember Smokehouse is one of our great sponsors here and a great spot when it comes to all things specializing in handcraft barbecue, from tender brisket to home-cooked sides. You'll find a hearty meal for every member of the family that is guaranteed. And we know that Thanksgiving is next week. That's right. It's next week. It's amazing that we've already made it here. And you probably are somebody that is going to be hosting the family, the loved ones, and you have a lot of work to do. But there's a lot of work to be done when it comes to the food and preparation. So don't worry about it. Let the pros do it. Let the people that'll make it so much easier on you at Blue Ember Smokehouse, where they have whole turkeys that'll feed 18 to 20 people for $70, whole hams that'll feed 18 to 20 people for $65. And if you just want the turkey breast side of things, which is the white meat, everyone loves that, 12 to 14 people to feed for $55. And you have to have your orders put in by Friday, by November 21st. You need to have your order put in, and then you can have it picked up by November 26th. And, of course, they have locations across the entire state of Arkansas listed right there on your screen. So if you want to go ahead and have Blue Ember help you out this Thanksgiving, give one of those places a call, whichever location, whether it's Fort Smith, Jonesboro, Texarkana, Little Rock, or Hot Springs, or Rogers. They'll get you all squared away with Blue Ember Smokehouse here in Arkansas. So, but yeah, Andrew, you mentioned the Hunter Yurachek thing and the involvement and all of that. You know, this is something that when I went to school for 7.5 years, and I did pay attention in some classes, I was a communications major, and I will never forget one of the high level, senior level, 4,000 level class that I had to take was about communications and media. And I learned about framing. I learned about agenda setting. I learned about public relations, why certain statements are put out certain times, not just from the sports angle, but from general. And that's something that I feel like, not every single case, but when it comes to this day and age of public knowledge, and you could call it reporting, or you can call it like leaking out stuff. So much of it is just to portray a message or to convey a message rather than, have it done and say like, oh, this is actual facts. You know what I'm saying? Like there's, if we could go back to what was in NACOS's report last week, it's like sources stressed that this was going on. It's like there's reasons behind it. So, there's a lot of things that could have been a way earlier in the coaching search that maybe were framed or messaged a certain way to people, but then it's not the same way now. I know that's so cliche and such a cop-out to maybe some, but I feel like there's a lot of that goes on that sometimes even I have to really think about and really understand that maybe everything that I hear isn't exactly what is going on, but it's what they think everybody else wants to know that's going on.
Mhm. Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And I've had conflicting stuff on the Hunter Yurchek aspect of this for a while, because it also depends on who you talk to. Like, recruiting's a little bit different, right? Because you're talking to like sources within the program or sources connected to the kid, or, other coach, whatever. But with a coaching search, a lot of times you're trying to talk to money. You know what I mean? And I've heard from people right away when when Sam Pittman got fired and Bobby Petrino was named the interim, and this whole situation was going on. There were influential people who were telling me, "Nah, Hunter, he ain't gonna have nothing to do with this, man. Nope, we're taking the ball out of his court. This is gonna be up to us. He can sit and watch." But then had other people pretty adamant the entire time, like, "No, I mean, he's the AD. He's gonna be a part of this." And the truth is, if you're not 100% aligned, which very rarely is anyone during a coaching search when it comes to this type of stuff, especially given the tenor of the situation down here, then people are going to have different interests. They're going to have different things that they want. And it goes back even to the conversation of, well, how much money are they going to have for the football program? And so, sure, is there a concerted effort to raise a bunch of funds, and are they making progress towards that for this football program? Yeah, man, no doubt about it. Could that final dollar amount change based on who they wind up hiring or where this winds up going? Yeah, it absolutely could. Could the NIL support change? Sure. Could a new donor jump in because they say, "Oh, this is my guy, so yep, I'm upping my donation. Here I go." Versus somebody who's like, "Okay, wait, I was all in on James Franklin. You didn't get him, so no, you can miss me with my $10 million or whatever." All that stuff factors into this, and it's all very much at play. So what might be true one day might not be true the next. It's just kind of part of the way that this works. And so you just got to continue to check in on it and update with the latest. And sometimes people will say, "Well, what happened to what you said 3 days ago?" Well, this.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, anytime you have a situation like this where I don't think it's an exaggeration to say multiple hundred people have their say and are having their opinion, or at least talking to people or involved in this thing, it's very rare that you're going to get all 200 of those people to all say the same thing and feel the same way. And so you're 100% right. And I think it's always tough because, like I said, as fans, we want it to be in black and white terms of like, all right, if James Franklin's our head coach, what's his salary? What's his NIL budget? What does that mean? If it's Galesh, what is his salary? What is his NIL? What is that going to mean? And there's not an actual answer to these things, nor will there ever be. And frankly, let's say they hire Galesh and he enters year one with an NIL budget. Let's just throw out a number. Let's say he has $18 million to start the roster. Well, does not guarantee that the next year, no matter what the record is, he's going to have that same budget and that he couldn't grow on that or couldn't lose support. Like, these things are always changing, always evolving. And that's what makes this time of year so like stressful is you mentioned, Curtis, how you'll talk to two different people, get two different answers. A lot of people, I feel like, would just take the one they like and run with that. And I think that happens a good bit during these situations. And it makes it hard to have conversations about this stuff because, again, people operate as if things they've heard are like facts. And then it's like, now we're moving on and it seems like the scale is sliding a ton, but you just never really know. And I don't know, man, that's part of why I'm just so ready for this thing to be over so we can all get on the same page. And I think you brought up a very good point earlier, Curtis, about people biting the hand that feeds them. And sometimes you might say a message and people don't like that message, so they get mad at you. But it's like, this is just what we're told, It's like at the beginning of the season. We told you the D-line sucked. You don't have to be happy about it. You don't have to like us for it. But that is just a fact of the matter here. And, sometimes you tell people certain things and they don't like it. But it's like – and so I think a lot of times people that – especially ones that hide behind like aliases on the internet, they always are chasing that high of telling people what they want to hear and it coming to fruition. And so I think that is another danger spot that we've run into during this particular cycle.
Yeah, and let me also throw in too, like – is it the exact same way everywhere? Maybe not, but this is something that happens at every like SEC school during a coaching search. Like, it's not unique to Arkansas where it's like, oh, everywhere else all the ducks are in a row, and the organization of the search and the process of which it's messaged is that way, and it's just perfect. But at Arkansas, it's just chaos and nonsense. It's like, no, that's not the case. It's crazy everywhere. Let's not forget. At Tennessee, they had a fan revolt over a coach that they hired, and they had to pay that coach after signing a contract in Greg Schiano to not coach after like a day. Crazy things happen in coaching searches. So it's not unique to Arkansas, but it is things that, again, it's the long process of it, I think, that's just made this so much worse and so much more difficult. But, we roll with it, and with things change and things being fluid, it's like we go along with it because things do change and things are very fluid when it comes to these coaching searches. So, you just gotta work through it. You just gotta figure it out. And there may be some coaches that people really want, and you may not get them, and that's okay. But I think we can all agree that at the end of the day, whoever they end up hiring will be everyone's vast majority pick. Maybe not, but most people will still get behind the coach, still support, still be excited because it's new, it's energy, the press conferences and whatnot. And also, guys, let's just go ahead and get out of the way. Your Hunter Yurchek, when he goes up there, he's going to say that this was their only coach they talked to, and this was their first choice, and this is the only one that they wanted, regardless of who it is. So, as
he should, yeah. Absolutely, as he should, man. It would be hilarious, though. It's like if they hired Kane Womack or Eric Morris or something, is up there and it's like, listen, I get it. You might not be excited right now, but give him a chance. We tried for James Franklin. We had a phone call with Dabo Swinney, but this is where we landed. This is where our budget's at, and we're going to make the most of it. So allow him to maximize our potential here.
I give it 12 hours after the announcement of Eric Morris as the Arkansas head coach before we start getting the fan contingency to say, well, you know what? We were going to spend all that money on Franklin. This is going to be a little bit cheaper. Why don't we just put that into NIL, and then, you know what I'm saying? It won't take long before Eric Morris not only will be viewed as a home run hire, but to where Arkansas fans will now no longer be able to see a path to him not having success at Arkansas. I have zero doubt that will happen. And by the time August rolls around for Eric Morris's first game, people will be like mad at us if we don't pick them to go 8-4. I guarantee you everything I just said happens. Like everything I just said.
Yes. And if you want a prime example of this kind of thing happening everywhere, I know Cats by 21 or 90 or 6'7" or whatever it is in here right now listening. Mark Pope, when they hired, because remember it was Billy Donovan or Nate Oates or Hurley or who the hell, it's like this whole contingent of huge coaches, and they get Mark Pope, and everybody was crashing out about it. But then by the time he rode into their little pep rally on a bus, everybody's like, it's the best thing that's ever going to happen to us. He gets it, man. And it took him a year to figure out, you know what, this guy might not be the actual Pope after all. But at least give us that year of hope. That's all I'm asking for as a Razorback fan.
Well, the thing that Mark Pope had was he had a very specific case of, hey, we're going to shoot a ton of threes, and he's from Kentucky. And for some people, that's all it is. And for, whether it's Galesh, we would all sit there and we would look at his stretch with Heupel and the offenses, and we would say, okay, that is the case. And so we will start talking ourselves into that. If they hire some bum like Kane Womack, we're going to start sitting there looking at the defense, and we're going to say, you know what, it's actually good to have a good defense, and that's going to be our thing. If it's Eric Morris, we're going to start looking at his work with Garrett Wilson and be like, oh, the passing attack's going to be great, and he has a great quarterback there at North Texas. No matter who the coach is, whether it's freaking John Gruden or any of these guys, they have a case, and we will talk ourselves into that case, and we'd be lying if we said anything else.
The majority of this fan base talked themselves into year 6 of Sam Pittman. So
truly,
you're right.
Exactly.
And they're still talking themselves into Bobby as we're speaking right now.
And I hereby declare, and we've already said this, but I'm doing it again. I don't care who it is. I'm gonna be the biggest football Kool-Aid sipping son of a gun in this state because I'm tired of feeling this way. Whoever they hire, I'm just gonna be excited as long as it's not Bobby. No disrespect, but if it represents change, then I'm in. Sign me up, man. I'll give anybody a chance at this point.
Well, Curtis, since we were the haters and nobody gave us props for being the haters, I now feel like it's a fruitless venture.
That's true.
We were very low on the Arkansas football team, and they're about to finish 2-10, and there are 0 people in this state who are going to be like, wow, hey, you guys did say they were going to suck. Like, nobody's going to give us credit for that. So it's like, I'm with you. I probably am going to pick them to go 8-4 next year.
Yeah, and to your point, though, about the excitement, because I'll be the same way, Curtis. I mean, I'm always going to be just supportive and, talk myself into it, if you want to call it that, of being excited. But it's like for fans, I get it of why you do that. And I get why, even in year 6 of Sam Pittman, I get why you do it. And that's why I never hate on anybody for being excited about something, because it's a lot more fun to be excited. It's a lot better for everyone's mental health to be intrigued in a positive way about something they care about a lot. And, nobody wants to be negative. If you're a Razorback fan, you don't want to go into the season feeling down. because that's not what fandom's about. I get why everybody gets excited. I get why people try to talk themselves into it, because we'll do the same thing regardless of who the coach is. My only hope is that there are people that will understand that, hey, there's examples all around. Just because it's not that home run hire, big name splash hire, does not mean it's going to be a disaster Chad Morris 2.0. But also, if it is that big splash hire, that big name that's coming out, doesn't mean it's going to be Brett Bielema 2.0. Like, don't just use previous examples and say it's going to be this, because you have no clue. You can hate on the man all you want, but like Eli Drinkwitz in Missouri, he was a coach for one season at App State, and here he is. He's getting rumored for the Auburn job and the Florida job. It's like, okay, sometimes those things happen where you get guys that really work out. Just unfortunate for Arkansas because they haven't had any of those that have really worked out here recently.
Yeah, man.
I really no. I'm trying to make sure that I feel good about whoever it ends up being, even though there are some names that I will not be very happy with if they end up going that direction.
As long as it's, I don't know. I feel like the fallback options, or if we want to call it like the realistic tier of candidates for Arkansas, like you said, it might not be the splashiest, sexiest hires in the world, but still some pretty damn good football coaches that I think I could find reasons to be excited about. Like, if it falls to the tier below that, and we really are getting into the weeds of like position coaches, or and there's a couple coordinators that I'd be okay with, but if they get into that level, then maybe that changes my tune a little bit. But where I think the floor for this job to land is, I don't know that I have a reason to go into it, regardless of who it is, being upset about it.
I agree. There's several options on the table that I'm going to be not only acceptable with, like I'm going to like borderline like be excited about, and I'll be like, hey, you know what, this is a good thing. I just can't understand why we went from like, the James Franklin thing. We get it. That was like option number one, and that was the right option number one. And once we determined that might not happen, we immediately went to like future fired coordinators. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why? Like, as much as we kind of pride ourselves on being the three guys that like offer a reality check for Razorback fans, I want to tell Razorback fans, listen, y'all should expect more of your program than to have to hire Gus Malzahn, who's about to get fired as the OC at Florida State.
And where has all that come from in the last hour, by the way? But yeah.
Right. Or Kane Womack, who is not going to get fired, but like Bama fans currently want to burn that guy at the stake because they hate him so much. Like, if he leaves Bama, he would be going to a smaller job. Like, it's very possible he gets relieved of his duties. And then you're talking about Bobby Petrino, who's also a part of a fired coaching staff as a coordinator. It's like, why are y'all already going to like, hey, let's just accept absolute dirt? It's like, y'all are allowed to shoot a little bit higher. You're at least allowed to get an actual football coach who is on an upward trajectory and like might be able to grow with. Like, y'all don't have to go, just because James Franklin said no doesn't mean we have to go right to the bottom of the barrel. There's plenty of decent football coaches we can get there.
Yeah, and also too, because I know we'll get to your chats, folks. It's because of that fact. It goes back to the whole thing of looking through the lens of, okay, we'll say Kane Womack. Well, Kane Womack, the defense coordinator at Bama. Well, so who else was? Kirby Smart, and look at him. It's like, that is complete. That has nothing to do with anything. It's like, that's the thing that I also want to like try to get people to understand is, just because it was this thing that worked at one time with this one school previously, therefore it's going to equate to this. Like, that just is that's not a reality. That's not the thing that you have to look through the lens of. Like, Kane Womack, he's not even coaching under Nick Saban. Like, it was not even it's a completely different thing. So you just got to be careful of that. We'll get to your chats, folks, but want to remind everybody that here on Inside Arkansas Live, we're presented by our friends over at Drain Masters, the licensed plumbing and drain cleaning in Arkansas and Oklahoma. And they are the best in the business when it comes to all the drain cleaning and plumbing. If you're in the Northwest Arkansas area, River Valley area, Oklahoma, beyond, they are ready to handle all of your plumbing and drain cleaning needs with professional and reliable service. Anytime that you have something going on in your home or in your business, there's nothing worse than having to take a shower in standing water. There's nothing worse than having a toilet that won't flush. There's nothing worse than having the sink that you're running to wash your hands and do your shaves and all that stuff where it's just overflowing and you can't figure it out. You can put Drano in it all day long, but it ain't going to do the job. You need the professionals to do it. So request a service today with Drain Masters of Arkansas. Give them a call at 479-646-5585. That's 479-646-5585. Or you can scan that QR code right there on your screen. It'll take you straight to their website where you can request an appointment there. And the best thing about it, folks, is that you better tell them that Inside Arkansas sent you, because when you do, you get 10% off all of their services. It's as simple as that. Just say Inside Arkansas sent me, and they're going to be like, man, you must know ball. You must be an awesome person. We love you so much. We're going to give you 10% off all your services. So do it with Drain Masters of Arkansas. Anything and everything plumbing related. No job is too big or too small. Drain Masters of Arkansas has you covered. All right, let's go ahead and get into the chats, folks. Appreciate everyone's patience. Mondays are always wacky shows because of the timing, because of the amount of stuff to get through, but we appreciate the patience. And we all know the rules. Super chats get read first. So shout out to Jason. Says, I don't want to hear Pittman left it better again. Less talent and likely the exact same record as Chad Morris. I think that's what he's saying. And still 0 thank yous from Pittman. He chose to stay until he was a villain.
So one thing I will say is the Pittman left it better agenda went out the window when they ran it back with him this year. The idea of Pittman leaving it better, that you've heard us make that exact case. We made that case last year whenever they were 6-6, 7-6. And we were like, hey, this would be a good time. You can kind of argue that he left it in a good spot. And I even said, hey, you could consider it a successful tenure. That went out the window when you ran it back with Pittman. And to your point, stayed until he was a villain. You can say Pittman chose to stay, which he did ultimately. Like, if he really, really wanted to retire, he would have done it. I don't know if Pittman's the one that you can blame here. As crazy as that sounds, I know he's the guy that was coaching, and I know he was deficient. And we all kind of knew that if Pittman stayed, if you let Pittman stay until he got bad, he was going to get bad. And so, frankly, I don't think Pittman is the one that I look at and I'm like, oh man, he should have done something different. It's not his job to fire himself and give himself a buyout. I think the university should have stepped up, had some leaders in that room that were like, hey, let's be forward thinking and think about what could help us in the long run. They chose not to do that, and they need to be held accountable. I don't blame Sam Pittman for being talked out of retiring by the university and by his agent.
No.
Yeah, you have millions of dollars in a contract in front of you and walk away from it.
Yeah.
After going to a bowl game or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like he probably looked at last year and thought, cool, man. Yeah, now I'll be able to build on this and we'll have a better year. I can get back to where I was or whatever. That's the way that he's wired. I don't think Sam Pittman was sitting around going, damn it, I suck. It's a wonder that I'm still here.
Right.
I guess I had to go hand my money back to Hunter Urachek and the board and go on about my business. Like it,
Well, and also too,
quit. Who does that?
Yeah, and to your point, I'm not saying that this is exactly what happened, but you know who else would not allow that? Jimmy Sexton, Sam Pittman's agent. You think that he's going to go, who's getting paid from that? Think he's just going to go and Sam Pittman's going to be like, hey, man, I'm quitting. And Jimmy's going to be like, excuse me? No, you're not. You're going to owe me money then. Like, that's just not going to happen. You got to think about that.
If Sam Pittman put out a message, what would people have done with it? Like if he tweeted out a Notes app message or, had Kyle put together a graphic for him or something and put it out on Twitter, what would you guys have done with it?
I don't know.
They would have been
coming from someone who demanded Sam Pittman put out a statement about the Arkansas baseball program. Would it have been nice? Cool. I probably would have appreciated it, but I also don't think it's that big of a deal that a guy who doesn't spend a ton of time tweeting, it'd be one thing if he continued to tweet, but he hasn't tweeted since he got fired, right?
Not that I've seen. And that's a great point, Andrew, because that's what I was going to make too. Is it'd be one thing if he was just, crazy active on social media all the time and then just, kind of passed over that. But it's like the guy never tweeted anyways. So, I mean, it doesn't
if he just
matter.
Never tweets again, I'll call it even, honestly. I'll be like, all right, we're fine.
Now, but if he does fire off a tweet, if Arkansas goes 2-10 or something, like hashtag karma, making it go full circle or something. Yeah, I'll give that one a retweet, old coach. I'll give that one a retweet. Shout out to Hog on it for the super chat. Appreciate it. Says, just want to give a shout out to you three for all you do in covering the Hogs day in and day out. Appreciate you, fellas.
Thank
you. That, man. Hell
Appreciate that. It's cool.
Appreciate you, Hog on it. John Sullivan just wants to fire off super chat. Says Moore's curse is real. Higher before 2018 baseball. Oh, well, in that case, yeah, it's makes sense to me. Jeez, it's like again the curses and whatnot.
Once we reach the decade mark, can we stop talking about Chad Morris?
I hope so, but probably not. Probably not.
I get it. The dude sucked, and did he set the program back and all that? Yeah, but it's like, dude, there's been several things that have happened in Arkansas and the world. We can't keep talking about Chad Morris, dude. I got to be honest. We got to release ourselves from the shackles.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. And I know I'm gonna regret saying this, but next year, whoever the coach is, if they have offensive struggles at all, everyone's gonna bring up Bobby Petrino again. Be like, should have just kept him. Should have kept him. I mean, it's no matter what, it's always gonna be stuff that gets brought up like that. Let's see. Joel's just saying Eric Morris era about to begin, calling a shot.
People were talking.
I like it, Joel.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm sure no one will make the joke of, another Morris from Texas. Dirt. It's like, all right, cool.
That's going to drive me nuts.
I know. It's going to be so annoying. Let's see. Hickory Hog 94 says, the only thing left for Bobby to do is yell at all the refs on his way out, get it all out of his system so he can be nice to the retirement home staff. Ooh, that's mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
that is tough.
Bobby was pretty fired up. He was pretty nasty about it, but that's fine.
Real quick, I see a chat here that says, we talked about the Morris curse on the post game. Did you listen to what we said? Because if I recall correctly, I said there's not a Morris curse because he hasn't been here in a decade. And if there were a guy that cursed the program, it would be a guy that you guys like, and it would be Bobby Petrino. That's what I said. So I don't know how you heard that and thought that I was like, oh yeah, Chad Morris cursed the program. I was arguing against it.
Yeah, I think I put the curse on Larry the bowling ball.
Yeah, you put it on Larry the bowling ball. I'm like, we did not come up. If you'd listened to that on the post game, you misinterpreted like every single sentence of it.
We all agree there's something nefarious at play here, though.
For sure. Yeah, I just don't think it's Chad Morris because he has no connection to the university and he hasn't for a decade.
Yeah. Speaking of, do you think Sam Pittman has Larry the bowling ball? Like, did he take it from the office? You think that he's just like got it still?
I would hope that whoever escorted him out demanded it, but
he was like, y'all won't be needing this. Trust me.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say, though, to the Larry bowling ball, I don't care. I know people hate it, whatever. I liked it. I always will liked it. And I like it. And I think it was fine. And anybody that got mad about it can just get over it. Like it was just one of those things that you're mad because if you lost or if you weren't winning to the level. But I always thought it was a good thing and a cool thing.
Yeah, man. I have always been a noted Larry the bowling ball fan. I'm an anthracite fan. I haven't gone the front-facing hog route yet. I know Andrew doesn't mind it too much.
Andrew loves it.
But,
Well, I wear it because of how upset, like people, grown men and women watch the show and like are seething mad when they see the front-facing hog logo. And I'm just like, I'm just not that offended by it. I like the other logo better, but it's just like, it's crazy to me that people like feign anger about it.
Colin says, would love y'all's reaction to the Josh Pate Arkansas coaching search intel. He's all in on Golish and thinks he would thrive at Arkansas.
Yeah, and I have I turned on his episode, but I couldn't hear it over the shrieks of my child this morning, so I didn't get to that part yet. But I saw some people talking about it, and I don't want to misquote him, but I guess he said something about somebody ban this freaking idiot.
Yeah, I got him.
What the hell are we doing? Have you lost your freaking mind? Anyway, Jesus Christ, people, don't do that. This is ridiculous. Anyway, I guess he said something along the lines of if they were trying to recreate the John Calipari thing, that they would make a play for Dabo, and so that's obviously going to get everyone going there. And then, but if it was his choice or whatever, he'd go after Alex Galesh. And I saw somebody said, I think I started, but it was like, okay, why is Andrew saying Galesh now instead of Golish? And I've been saying Galesh too because I hear people on broadcast saying it all the time. So it's like, oh, that must be the right way to pronounce it. So I think maybe we had it wrong in the beginning. I think Alex Galesh would be a good hire. You know what I mean? Like we've done making the case for that. I would be excited about it. There's some debate as to, but it's with any of these guys from that conference. You could do this with him. You could do it with Morris. You could do it with Silverfield. Has he proven enough? Is he, they talk about like Silverfield, he took over a winning program and kept on winning. You know what I mean? It's like, so is he really a good coach? Is he a program builder? Is he a merchant of what it was before? And then you look at a guy like Alex Galesh, and it's, oh, well, they really, really sucked before he got there, and now he's taken them to winning seasons. And so you could say he's done a hell of a job, or you could also say he's got a ton of money relative to most everyone not named Memphis in that conference. So is he doing less with more? And then you could have the conversation about Eric Morris. It's like, well, his overall record's not that great over there, but he's getting ready to take him to a college football playoff, and he might have one of the worst financial situations in there. So we can do this back and forth conversation with any of these guys, but I like Galesh. I think he's a really, really sharp offensive mind. He's got an awesome background, and I think he's going to be a high major power conference coach somewhere, and he's going to do a hell of a job wherever he winds up.
Yeah, I like that. I will my miniature case, which we've already made the case for Galesh, but my miniature case is that he is a good football coach. And is he a good enough football coach to win a national title? I don't know. Is he a good enough football coach to take Arkansas to new heights or whatever? I don't know, but I do know he's a good football coach. And so how will that translate? We'll see. But I think a lot of things is when you're looking at any of these candidates, you're trying to look at what they are doing now at whatever job they're at, whether that's an OC, DC, or head coach at a small school, big school, whatever. You're trying to look at what they're doing and figure out, can they do that at Arkansas? And will it be as easy? No, you're going to be against the SEC and all that. But I look at what Golish is doing. He has turned a losing program into a winning program. Had 2 winning seasons to start, and now has kind of leveled it up a little bit. They're going to end up winning 8 or 9, 10 games this year. So he does seem to be trending in the right direction. And you mentioned the money, which I've heard that as well, that he raises a ton of NIL money there at South Florida, and maybe that's why they're winning. I don't know. Maybe it is. That is something he'll have to do at Arkansas, though, is raise a ton of money and win football games. So it's like, honestly, I do like that he has some experience doing that, and he's young, energetic, and I think he's doing something well from a program building standpoint. All of those things will suit him well at Arkansas. Will they suit him well enough to where he will turn Arkansas into a great program? I don't know, but I think in terms of premises that you're trying to talk yourself into, I think Golish is a very easy one to do.
Yeah, no, I think so too. We'll continue to get to your chats and also have best and worst of the weekend here in just a little bit, but want to remind everybody that Hickey and Hole Law is the official law firm of Inside Arkansas. Any and everything that you need when it comes to your law advice and guidance, do it with Hickey and Hole Law, because they're going to guide you through the entire process. You don't need to handle it on your own, especially divorce and custody cases. Those are way too important to try and face alone. So have the experienced team who have handled over thousands of different family law cases. They're going to make sure you're taken care of and have you covered. They push the case forward for their clients, advocating for them in a diligent and consistent manner from start to finish. And they know every case that they take is important, and they strive to give each one the utmost time and care that it deserves. So have Hickey and Hole Law help you out where their offices are located across the entire state of Arkansas, Fayetteville, Fort Smith, Little Rock, as well as Mena. You can call them today over at 479-434-2414. That's 479-434-2414. Or you can check out their website at hickeyandhole.com. Scan that QR code right there on your screen as well. It's Hickey and Hole Law. Things are about to get better. All right, so a few more of your chats here, folks. Again, appreciate everybody tuning in and hanging out with us, too. Ricky says, has Franklin said yes to Virginia Tech? If not, then don't say he is out at Arkansas. I can tell you with the utmost confidence he is officially out at Arkansas. So just telling you. You could say it's like he hadn't said yes to Virginia Tech. It's like the same people that were trying to say that Rhett Lashlee hadn't signed his contract extension. It was like, no, I mean, it was reported he did. He did sign it. We were like, well, no, I mean, but he didn't. Like, no, he did. Like, sometimes just things are pretty clear, but I just don't see James Franklin being there in the mix, because even Wyatt says, you say whiffed, but what if James Franklin didn't want to be here? No, he wanted. Yeah, like
well, then he said no. Like, however you want to slice it, he likely said no to Arkansas, and one of the reasons he would say no is because he doesn't want to be there. And so you can frame it however you want, but yeah, I also think when we say something like, "Hey, yeah, it seems like James Franklin is out of the mix," it's interpreted as that's like what we want to happen, which is just not true. Like, obviously, I think we were all three on board with the James Franklin thing. I think when you have 2 University of Arkansas employees who know what know what it means when they say things, when they come right out and say James Franklin was never a candidate at Arkansas, obviously we know that's not true, but it's like that should be a pretty good indication as to how heavily Arkansas is still in that mix.
Correct. Absolutely. Let's see. Finch says, I blame Curtis for not putting out a pod at the Palace to spend time with the family yesterday for us not having a new football coach yet. LOL.
I will I'll accept blame for that. I'll take the blame for that.
Yeah.
I did give you an hour-long one this morning, though. Although it didn't go out on YouTube until like 8:30, because I didn't finish recording it till like 2:00 in the morning, and then when I scheduled it, it schedules for the next day. So it was set to go out at 5 a.m. tomorrow. I woke up at 8:30 and was like, oh, shit. It was on Spotify and Apple for like 8 hours before that, though. So.
Hey, with my Locked On, I've been there, buddy. That happened to me last week, actually, because I put it up and I was like at 12:01. So when I finally got up to YouTube, and it just happened to schedule the next day. And luckily I was already awake at people. This is when the best thing ever is when people listen, is when you get blown up if something's not right with your content, because that means people are anticipating it and wanting it. It's my favorite thing ever. And then of course, one person was really nice about it, where he tweeted about me. He's like, "Hey, moron." He's like, "You might want to schedule your podcast at the right date." And I'm like, thank you. I got it. Yeah. Appreciate it. So, but yeah, we've all been there, man. All been there.
I did. I see this from Finch. He's like, "I was legit worried about you, Curtis." I had a few people that DM me, either on the Discord or on Twitter. It's like, "Hey man, is everything okay?" Because I wasn't going to do one Sunday anyway, because it was, it was like an off day or whatever. But obviously we put it out at the same time, every day throughout the course of the week and stuff. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm alive. Just, screwed up."
Curtis, are you dying? You put out a pod at the Palace.
Make sure, and this is why we always say, subscribe to Inside Arkansas YouTube channel and find us wherever you find your podcast, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen, because it was there, just not on YouTube, but it is now.
That's right. That's right. Also, appreciate Hickory Hogs. Says credit to y'all not feeding us poop emoji and calling it chocolate pudding. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. Oh, good. Our guy John Beckman says, "Don't worry, guys. Y'all get lucky and get a good coach like we did with Butch Jones." All right.
Hey, John Beckman, in the worst year of this program ever, basically the most tumultuous year in Razorback football history, we whipped your ass. Even in our absolute worst of all worst. And what is this, like the fourth best season in the history of Arkansas State football? Like, this is arguably like your best team versus our worst team, and there was like 30 points in between them.
Yeah, I don't know this
for a second, and to think about that next time you want to come to us. Wait till we actually have a football coach. We might beat you by 70 at that point.
And it's even closer. You could even say it was more of it was a neutral site, being in Little Rock. Like, you didn't even have to deal with the crazy atmosphere of Fayetteville. So yeah, I don't know if this is the year you want to start flexing if you're an Arkansas State guy.
I'll also add that your current head coach, who's the best head coach, your hero and all that, if he got hired at the University of Arkansas, they would literally revolt and burn down the university.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you stand in this world versus where we stand. And we don't even stand in a good spot. Like, we get beat up by other people all the time, and they get to give these speeches to us, but like, we get to give it to you, and you come into our chat.
That's right. That's right. Let's see. Addison says, "Is it really possible that Arkansas could have goalish lockdown as their backup plan? Do agreements like that actually happen?"
I think it goes back to the conversation we were having about contingency, like whatever you want to call it, contingency plans in place in case, like the bigger swings you make don't happen. It's not like they just put like, for example, Arkansas didn't put all their eggs into the James Franklin basket for him to say no. And then they go, shit, back to the drawing board. We have no plan whatsoever. Now, I know it might seem that way, and some people might argue that's the case, but I promise you, it is not. And they have been talking to a lot of other folks there. But yeah, call it what you want. Contingencies or, handshake agreements. And there's always factors that go into it, whether or not something's going to happen or not. That's probably why a lot of this stuff is going around that, well, it's weird because we're hearing that they're still talking to a bunch of candidates, but we're also hearing that they have their guy. And I just am connecting the dots and believing that if that's the case, that's exactly what this is, a contingency in place, get to the end of the season here with the expectation of making an announcement in the event that other things fall through. And now, is that Alex Galesh? I don't think so. I think it's another dude from that conference that his team has green uniforms, but we'll see what it winds up being.
Yeah, I doubt they went to him and were like, hey, we're going to make everyone say no first, and then we'll come back to you. I think it's more just a case of knowing you have an agreement of like, hey, this guy would accept the position. Yeah, I don't think they went to any of these guys and were like, hey, you're our backup, by the way.
And it's you can only do that with a certain like grouping or percentage of your candidates too, because they're getting courted by other folks. Like Arkansas ain't the only team that's that might be interested in Alex Galesh or vice versa. And like same for Eric Morris and Silverfield, like all these guys are going to have options here. So to think that you could just have an agreement in place and yeah, we're just going to keep it on the down low for 3 weeks or whatever until the end of the season, it's going to happen. not really how this works. When other jobs are going to come open and, other people might miss on their James Franklin and then they call their Alex Galesh and then it changes things. So I hear it. I think I understand what they're talking about when we hear some of those rumors, but I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that. So I don't personally take it to the bank of, yeah, they've got their guy and we're just wasting our time until they announce it.
Yeah. Although last week, guys, it was reported that Arkansas hadn't even talked to anybody. Like they've just done a couple Zoom calls with maybe some people. So I mean, who knows who to believe? We'll get to best and worst of the weekend, but also want to get to this chat for a super chat from JM Scott. Appreciate it. Says, how would you three sell the Razorback football program to the top candidates on your list? Appreciate what you guys do. WPS. Well, you got to start with the money. That's probably first, second, and third. You have to have that. And if you have it, that has to be the main thing. You just have to set up your coach for success. The whole idea of like, oh, well, they don't have the in-state recruiting and stuff like doesn't matter. Money and support and to be set up that way is the only thing that matters. And you have to do that. You have to get that. And we'll see what Arkansas actually ends up doing as far as that goes. But to me, it doesn't matter. You can't sell anybody, any big name coach on anything because the first question go back. All right, so how much do I get, or how much can I work with? Not salary, just the entire program in general. You have to start that. You have to have that, and you have to sell people on it.
100%, man. It's all about money. Nobody cares anymore about your facilities. Nobody cares anymore about the tradition of none of that stuff matters in these conversations. It's money. How much can you pay me? How much can I pay my staff? What kind of resources do I have to pour into recruiting and scouting and analytics? And how much NIL am I going to get? And so that's what I would be selling. And I don't know how great of a pitch that is for Arkansas relative to their peers right now. Maybe it's better than it was before, but that it's that financial plan is what you have to sell.
Yeah, that's like the main thing for sure. I would also try to appeal to it, like, because of course there's the case against going to Arkansas. Whether you're a Group of 5 coach or a sitting Power 4 coach, you look at Arkansas and you say, man, that would be a huge challenge. That would be really hard. I would have to face really good competition. I would have to, maybe navigate the NIL world and the recruiting against higher competition, and that would scare a lot of people. I would be trying to appeal to that coach and be like, hey, this is a challenge, no doubt about that. But like the reward, I feel like outweighs whatever your other options are. And who knows, what coach this is. But like, for instance, Virginia Tech, like James Franklin is going to Virginia Tech over Arkansas potentially. I would be looking at it and say, yeah, Virginia Tech's safer. Yeah, you could go 7-5, 8-4 there, and that'd be all fine and dandy. And so if you want something easy, yeah, sure. But I think the reward for being the guy that puts Arkansas on the national scale, that would earn you a lot more respect nationally. And I think this fan base is a big part of how I'd sell it, where I'd like, look, man, this fan base is crazy. They're all lunatics. But like, if you give them something good, you are going to become a hero. And I think you can go other places and have success and maybe even more success, but you will never be like, Virginia Tech. Like they're not going to love you more than they love Frank Beamer, and Arkansas. Yeah, I guess you could say they won't love you as much as Frank Broyles, but it's like, you really could be like the guy at Arkansas that like really, that would be a real, like if you turned Arkansas into a good program, that is a real legacy. And so I would be appealing, trying to frame it that way. I would also outright lie to him about the resources he has. And I would also outright lie to him about the likelihood of, I'd be like, dude, we got Walmart here and they love the Hogs. We named the basketball stadium after them. We got all these big companies. They're all dying to give you money. I would straight up be lying out of my ass about that.
Yeah. Hey, whatever it takes. We'll get to your chats. We'll also have a recruiting update from our guy, Dudley Dawson. Let's go ahead and do a little best and worst of the week in action presented by our friends over at BetSaracen, the number one sports betting app in the state of Arkansas. And they already have all the specials going on right now with Razorback basketball against Winthrop tomorrow night. You can get in on some of the specials that they have going on there each and every week for Razorback football. They have specials, but they have all the parlays, all the spreads. You can do anything when it comes to in-game betting, and it's for every sport. Doesn't matter if it's Razorback basketball, Razorback football, but they also do all the other in-state schools. They do the college basketball landscape, NBA, NFL, everything. So be sure to start winning with BetSaracen. Just click the link below in our description or scan that QR code on your screen. It'll take you right to the BetSaracen app where you download it and use our code INSIDEAR. That's INSIDEAR right there on your screen. When you use that code, when you bet $25, you get $125. Pure and simple. It's that easy. So again, download the app today by clicking our link in the description below or scan that QR code and use that code InsideAR where you bet $25 and get $125 with Bet Saracen, Arkansas's #1 sports wagering app. Okay, real quick, guys, because I just have one for my best of the weekend. I want to just give a shout out to former Razorback Moses Moody. He's going to be my best. Dude hit 7 3-pointers in the first quarter for the Golden State Warriors. Finishes with a total of 32 points, goes 8 of 12 from the 3-point line, 10 of 16 from the field. Also had 4 rebounds, 3 steals, a block shot, and 4. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I was reading the stat completely wrong. And a block shot, and then also had no turnovers. So, anyways, great game for him. Always like to see the former Hawk, especially Moses, who has been there with Golden State now for, it hasn't been there that long, but it feels like just in NBA terms, he's been there a long time. But getting there, getting the dub, and if you can outscore Steph Curry, only had 9 measly points in this one. You're going to be the best. So shout out to Moses for having a big first quarter and a big game for Golden State. Yeah, man.
Put me in, coach. I hope he gets traded. Like, get him out of there. That way he can have a little bit more of a role there. Because I think he's a guy not capable of scoring 32 every night, but doing more than he's been able to. The luxuries that he's been afforded at Golden State. But that was cool to see. Definitely a shout out to him. Shout out to Adu Thero, right?
Yeah.
Made his debut, got a dunk. Giannis beat somebody up to make sure he got the game ball. So that was all good. I'm excited for him. Glad to see him healthy and back out there. He looked pretty bouncy on that dunk that he had. So that was good for him. Another one that I had, I don't even know if this qualifies as a best of the weekend. It just made me smile. I don't know if you guys see the San Diego State dude, the coach, and his hat situation.
I guess not.
No. Okay. I don't even know how to describe this, but I just want to play it real quick, and I think you guys will get a kick out of it.
The Broncos lose consecutive conference games. A loss to Fresno State 2 weeks
Keep watching.
Oh.
Bro, he had that sucker stitched on his head, man.
Oh.
That's all. It just made me happy. I immediately is so tight on that man's skull. I started thinking about poor Andrew on Halloween and that Spider-Man fit, what he was probably going through, and this guy had it worse. I don't know how he kept it on his head the entire time, but anyway.
I wonder if he felt a relief when he took it off. It was like all of a sudden he could think better. I don't know. That's crazy. Yeah, dude, I've been really pleased with the pro hog stuff. Anthony Black, just is starting and playing well. Moses Moody's having like a career year. I think he's averaging 13 a game, which doesn't sound like a crazy amount, but it's it's hard in the National Basketball Association to average 12 to 15 points a game. That is a really hard thing to do. Love seeing Adu Thero get out there, man. But of course I gotta go with the UFC for my best of the weekend. Not the main event in co-main, I will say. Not the main. Yeah, I saw that face, Curtis. Not the main event in co-main. Although I will give Islam Makhachev his flowers. So everybody knows Khabib, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody's heard, John, you've heard of Khabib.
Oh yeah.
I feel like, and Curtis, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this. I think Islam, his cousin, by the way, who I don't know, John, you might not know the story, but Khabib retired when he was 32, and he was in the middle of his prime. He was 29-0. Defended the belt for the second time. Then he was like, hey, my father just recently died. I promised my mother I would stop fighting after that. So I'm retiring. I'm laying down the belt. And he moved away. And then when he moved away, he was like, my cousin Islam, who is working at the gym and he's in the UFC now, he is going to take over. He's going to be the next guy. And that turned out to be prophetic because Islam eventually goes on, wins the belt. He is now at this point accomplished more in the sport than his mentor Khabib. Straight up. He's defended the belt more times. He's had a longer prime. He's now 34, so he's gone past the longevity. He also accomplished something this weekend that Khabib never even attempted to do. He went up a different weight class up to 170, which it's 155 to 170, which doesn't sound like a lot of weight, but the guys that fight at 155 are 180, and the guys that fight at 170 are 210. And so it's it really is kind of a big deal. He goes up and makes it look easy, absolutely dominates a title fight. It wasn't a fun fight to watch because he was so dominant, but I wanted to give him his props because I feel like he surpassed Khabib's legacy, and I haven't heard many people saying that. But the guy I wanted to give a shout-out to is Michael Morales, 26-year-old Ecuadorian fighter who doesn't speak English, so he's not a huge star in the States yet, but there were a ton of Ecuadorian media that traveled from Ecuador to Madison Square Garden to see him. He gets a fight against a guy in Sean Brady, a #1 contender who, honestly, I felt bad for Sean Brady because he had just submitted a former champion in his last fight, which I feel like would make you eligible to fight for the title if you submit a former champion. But, of course, Islam coming up in weight, he gets the nod, and so they make Sean Brady. They say, hey, we're not going to give you a title shot, but we are going to give you this 26-year-old undefeated prospect who's twice your size. Good luck. And credit to Michael Morales, man. KO Sean Brady in 1 round. Had a bunch of, like I said, a bunch of Ecuadorian people that traveled to see him. I thought that was really cool to see. There's a lot of knockouts on the prelims main card. It was a fun card up until the 2 title fights, honestly.
Well, for my worst of the weekend, this might be the easiest one, but South Carolina football. That's incredible, man.
Do you have the video of Shane Beamer?
I don't.
Ooh.
I should have.
I'm going to pull that up because that was my worst of the weekend as well. The video of him going into halftime is so brutal.
But he even said it's not. No one thought that we'd won at halftime. Like, that celebration was not that. I'm like, man, you looked like Patrick Beverly after you guys won like the play-in game or whatever out there. But either way, for those you may not have known, but that just means you're living under a rock. South Carolina was up 30-3 on #3 Texas A&M, who was undefeated at College Station, mind you. South Carolina, who's irrelevant, they're up 30-3, and they lost 31-30. And not only did they lose 31-30, guys, like I made this point, it's not that they blew the lead in the second half. They blew the lead within like 20 minutes. Like, it was quick. And I know that Texas A&M is a good team, and I know that South Carolina is not. And I know most people are like, that's the most Arkansas thing ever, which I agree. There is zero excuse to ever lose a game in SEC football if you hold a lead of 30-3 at halftime. You do not lose that game you score 1 field goal, you win. Like, that's it. That's what you score 1 field goal and you win. Epic collapse. I don't know what they're going to do, but if I was a South Carolina, I'd be like, you're fired. You cannot do that. You cannot have that happen. So my worst of the weekend definitely was South Carolina, Shane Beamer. And it would have been funny to see A&M lose, but now it looks like they've pretty much clinched a playoff spot, which sucks. And I guess, guys, it's going to be them and more than likely Bama, more than likely to be in the SEC title game, I assume. So, yeah, I'll get the download here in a second. But Curtis, you can go for yours, and then Andrew, by the time we have this downloaded, we'll make that be the video. So
okay, well, I had 2. One of them's along the same wavelength here, so I'll do the other one first, and then we'll get back to this game that we're talking about. One for me, I just, and I'm not like the old man yelling at clouds or whatever, but we obviously got tagged in it and saw it. But the Arkansas players, all of them flipping the bird to LSU after scoring, and like, we can laugh about it or whatever, but for me, it's like, okay, I mean, you've lost 7 in a row, got an interim coach, like, the program's in shambles. If you want to celebrate and be happy about the accomplishments you have in a losing effort, then that's fine. That's cool. I'm all for that. But like, flipping the bird, what is this, 1991? I mean, like, what are we doing here? Do a cool celebration, do something that's choreographed or whatever. Hell, even a little bit later in the game, I think it was Mike Washington and somebody else. They were doing like the L's down thing at LSU. All right, fine, do something like that. But the middle finger, really, or we're still doing that in 2025. So I honestly wasn't crazy about that, especially given the circumstances with the program. And but then just to piggyback, John, you had the blown lead. Andrew, you've got the video, the celebration there. I just got to throw in the tough guy state trooper, right?
Yes.
Like, he's got to go on the worst of the week, and that was the same game. And he
former state trooper, let's say.
Former state trooper. Yeah, bumped shoulders with the South Carolina player and got mad. Looked like he was about to cuff him or something right there, and then got relieved of his duties in the middle of the game. Don't be that guy. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I was just real quick to that point. I was just going to say, like, imagine that's how you have to go home and tell your wife, I lost my job today. Why? Because I tried to bow up on some South Carolina football players at the game. It's like, so all of your service as a police officer, it's like, that's how it ends. Pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Before we make fun of this Shane Beamer video, before we make fun of this Shane Beamer thing, I want to touch on Curtis's point because I agree wholeheartedly. And I do want to clarify, I am a heel myself, so I kind of do like when you go into a road environment and you kind of have that, doing this stuff to the crowd and kind of like playing into it. But like you said, when you're 2-7, you got to know, you know what I mean? Like, Every celebration you do looks stupid. Every taunt you do looks stupid. And, I know as much, we don't blame Bobby Petrino and all that, but like for all the people that are hammering the drum for Bobby Petrino or ignoring the fact that we still have weird cultural issues going on in the program of people that just don't understand. They don't get what we're doing here.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, I think I got the video here for Shane Beamer and his celebration.
That bro, he literally said in the post game, none of us were celebrating at halftime. None of us were celebrating. We knew we had work to do. What are you talking about? You're not celebrating.
He was just that wasn't a celebration.
This looks like a post game video. This literally looks like something you would do after you won.
No, that's not a celebration. He's just they're the Gamecocks, and he's just flapping his wings. It's their thingy. He does. He's flapping wings. I don't know, but yeah, I've never really liked Shane Beamer, so it's like man. Yeah. So that's
yeah, and same thing. What are they 3-6 or something coming into the game? Come on, man, what are we doing?
Right. It's not the act itself. Hyping up the crowd, that's not a bad thing. Celebrating success, that's not a bad thing. I would even argue with the chatter, or I would even agree with the chatter that the middle finger flashing the birds isn't even inherently that crazy of a thing. Frankly, I do it all the time. You just have to know when you're 2-7, you're 3-6, you have to know how stupid you look when you do stuff like that.
Yeah. Read the room and be aware of your situation. That's all that you got to ask. So,
or be a man and throw the middle finger.
That's what men do. That's what the men do out there. That's strong men, alpha men. They'll always do that.
That specific chatter. Ryan is very big on the being a man thing.
Yeah.
That's his whole bit is like, oh, you got to be a man, dude. Be man.
Haven't won a game since September, but I'm going to flip off a fan. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Like a man.
Very, very manly thing to do.
Dude, he watches Mulan all the time and just sings out, "I'll make a man out of you." That's the type of guy he is. So we'll get to your chats and then we'll do our recruiting update with Dudley. But first, real quick, of course, our recruiting segment, an update with Dudley Dawson is presented by our friends over at Goat Lab Red, Goat Lab Brewery, as well as the Grove Comedy Club. We know Goat Lab Red right there at 1214 North Garland Avenue. It's the latest and greatest and newest game day tradition for all of you Razorback fans. A lot of you are going to be going to the Razorback basketball game tomorrow night in Bud Walton Arena. Well, before you got to eat something. You don't want to go into the game and have to spend all that money on expensive food, concession stand food, and buy all that expensive beer and everything. No. Just go to Go Lab Red right there beforehand at 1214 North Garland Avenue, and you'll get you some great burgers as well as some of the best brews around. They also have the Goat Lab brews like Razorback, Tusk, and Tusk Light. And don't forget also the Grove Comedy Club. If you go to grovecomedy.com, that's grovecomedy.com, they have all the different events that they have coming up with some of the big shows, and one of them being D.L. Hewley, where if you go to grovecomedy.com, you can get all the information on not only the calendar and all those events, but also get your tickets because it is going to be a sellout show. It is going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. So be sure to make it happen with the Grove Comedy Club with Goat Lab Red, Goat Lab Brewery. We appreciate their sponsorship and appreciate them making it possible to have our Inside Arkansas recruiting update with Dudley Dawson. So let's go ahead and hear from Dudley.
Covering recruiting and the transfer portal for the Razorbacks. This is Inside Arkansas Recruiting with Dudley Dawson.
Welcome into the Inside Arkansas Recruiting Podcast. Quick update, sponsored by Go Lab Brewery. I'm your host, Dudley Dawson. Today, I wanted to have just a little fun here. If you've been around me in my 62 years on this earth, you know how much I love music, and I like to think that it's part of the reason. Our son Brooks is a music agent, was with CAA, now at Foundations Music, and is representing Chappelle Roan and Noah Kahn, among others. Very proud of him. But one of my favorite songs of all time is "You Got One Shot" by Eminem, and that's what the new Arkansas head football coach or Bobby Petrino is going to have quickly once this decision is made on who the next head coach is. You basically have a football game November 29th at 7 p.m. You've got a signing date December 3rd that opens from December 3rd through 5th. You've only got a few hours in there that you're going to have a live period where you're going to be able to talk to recruits. So any flipping of players in Arkansas or commitments that they have out of state is going to have to happen pretty quickly there. I've talked to a lot of recruits. Some of them are going to sign early. Some of them are going to wait, kind of see what things are going. We're going to talk to a lot more of them as we go along here. But it is going to be a quick overthrow or whatever of the things that are going on here. You're going to have to talk to those kids really quick. Danny Bill, the number one player in Arkansas, still uncommitted out there. You get a lot of the ones that are committed and just like us are wondering what's going to happen up here. We're going to see what goes on. Going to be here to cover it. Again, sponsored by the Go Lab Brewery. We appreciate you watching us.
All right, that was Dudley Dawson with his recruiting update, and that's about what you can do in your recruiting update. Have some fun with it because there ain't much going on right now, but it's going to blow up here soon for Razorback football. So appreciate them. Appreciate Goat Lab Brewery making a part of it each and every day as well. All right, so a few chats here, folks. Again, appreciate everybody tuning in and hanging out with us. Some of these are ridiculous chats, but some of them are pretty informative. We got Ben Zimmerman said, Curtis, I really appreciated the 1 hour Pot at the Palace this morning. I'm sick AF currently.
Hate to hear that, man. Yeah, it was a fun episode. It was a good one. I know some people woke up wanting to listen to it while they drank their coffee. You had to wait for a minute, but no, we had a lot. I'd encourage people to go check it out. Like, I know it's a long episode, so sometimes you might have to break it up into like 2 listens or whatever to get through it all. But even with a game tomorrow, like I think it's one that you can go back and listen to for a couple days. So it's kind of an evergreen deal. I want to make sure I put that out there. As long as you get to it before Wednesday, you're probably gonna still hear a lot of things that you want to hear. So
I was going to say, when I first saw it, I thought he was saying, I'm just sick of like the coaching search and everything, but no, he's just actually sick, like literally down with the sick.
He was sick of Arkansas's fives not being able to rebound, or sick of the non-crowds at Bud Walton Arena. But no, just under the weather. So hate to hear that.
Yeah. Speaking of sickness and under the weather, Cats by 21 says, tune in ESPN tomorrow at 5:30 if you fellas want to see how to beat Michigan State. Okay.
There were so many like inappropriate jokes that just went through my brain reference towards Mark Pope that I'm not going to make.
Same. Yeah.
Curtis, actually though, do you remember the text? I remember it vividly because I have a weird memory and I always remember my good moments. Do you remember the text I sent you the week before the Arkansas-Kentucky game last year? If you remember, there was a whole week off we got. And I think it was like that Monday. I sent you a text regarding Mark Pope and his wife and certain things that he's not, capable of doing.
I don't know if I remember that one specifically back in January of last year, but Well,
I'm not going to reiterate it.
Okay.
But I feel it. Let's just say that.
I don't know how Kentucky fans can be super confident in what's going on over there right now. I know they've got a lot of talent and good players and stuff, but good Lord, man, every time that dude gets in front of a microphone, it's just it's hard to listen to.
I know.
I've been going into deep meditation and internal thought and deep thinking psychosis in my hyperbaric chamber to try to determine where I'm at with this basketball team. Why are we so fragile mentally to where I can't get us prepared to play in this game against Louisville? It must have been something to do with our pregame preparation, but I mean, good Lord, just say you lost, man. Hey, guess what? We allowed a team to light us up from 3. We couldn't defend, and we lost. We'll get better. Not everything has to be this big damn case study. That would drive me nuts if I was a Kentucky fan, dude. It's insane.
Yeah. All it's going to take is a loss to a Michigan State. And I really am pissed at myself, too, that I already exhausted my tweet that I was going to have where I could say just Mark Pope lost to Tom Izzo, like when that happens. Like, because that was all it was before. But sure. By the way, real quick, guys, this is just something random I want to bring up. Let's see, hold on, make sure I get this right. The Advocate out of Baton Rouge is reporting that Lane Kiffin had a plane sent from LSU and that his family members were picked up. Lane Kiffin's family members were picked up and doing a tour of Baton Rouge today. So, for what it's worth on the latest for the situation with Lane Kiffin and LSU and Ole Miss and all that. Let's see. Also, Cash Flow Thrift just says, just thinking about how War Machine has had a really slow football video season. Yeah, feel for the guy. But luckily basketball, he's been on top of that. So, he's making it happen. But I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure he's doing just fine without it. Let's see. Also, Chris says, just received my bombastic podcast shirt in the mail. Love it, guys.
Love that. We appreciate the support, man. That's awesome. I just, I guess I wore it the other day to Bud Walton. That's a good shirt. A good bombastic shirt. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah. And Chris, I'm sorry that if you've noticed, when I do the little handwritten stuff, I messed up your name. And so I kind of like scribbled it out and tried to, I can't, my penmanship's horrible. So, but yeah, just appreciate that either way. Crazy. Let's see. For some reason, someone says Les Miles is available. Okay.
I'm sure he
I don't know
is.
who this dude is, but he's not a fan of Arkansas.
So it makes sense for him to be in a show, stream and chat of an Arkansas-based.
I saw a Notre Dame fan chirp us at some point in the chat. They were like, "Can't wait to see you in South Bend next year." I'm like, "Bro, what?"
Yeah, they don't even play in South Bend next year, so
Yeah, we can't wait.
yeah, it's not even a thing that's happening next season. Let's see. Jeff says, "Dang, John, it's over 7 years of college. You should have been doing heart transplants or having commercials on TV about representing them because they were hurt in a car wreck." Well, I wasn't. Just did the long route there. And Easy Hog says, "Did you graduate? My name's on the sidewalk." That's all I'll say about that. John Beckman just says, "Imagine going 2-10. Couldn't be me."
They literally went 2-10 in 2021. This is like a couple years ago, and then they were 3-9 in 2022. I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know what you're trying to flex, John Beckman, but okay. Sure.
It's nice because it's like, dude, most of the time, like if Notre Dame fans come into the chat and make fun of us, we just have to eat it. If, Florida fans, whoever wants to come in and make fun of us, we have to eat it. I love it when there's like the one program that it's like, you actually can't talk to it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. That's what makes it funny. Oh, look, Quinn. Super chat. Curtis, what did you think of the Auburn-Houston game yesterday? I took a lot of positives away from the game for us.
Yeah, I did too, man. I thought they looked really good. Considering like a week ago, they were in overtime with a SWAC school. They come a long way. I thought they looked physical. They looked athletic. They got to get Pettiford going for sure. Keyshawn Hall's a bucket. That dude's probably going to lead the SEC in scoring. But they went toe-to-toe with Houston, man. That was a good game. You could argue they probably should have won it, but it was kind of like Arkansas against Michigan State. They had so many opportunities there in the final segment to get over the hump, and it just it didn't work out for them. But Stephen Pearl was pissed. Bruce Pearl was pissed. It was kind of crazy, but now they look good. They look good.
Shout out to the SEC in general, just having some really good non-conference games. I know that that's not like completely and totally uncommon, but it is nice to see it like fairly consistently during this time of year. And maybe I'm just saying that because Arkansas football is so irrelevant that I just want something to be relevant in, and that's nice. But there've been some good games going down in the SEC. Because what was it? Alabama played. It wasn't Houston. St. John's there. But I guess Arkansas didn't move in the coaches poll, or no, they didn't move in the AP poll, and they dropped one in the coaches poll. So for what it's worth, but yeah, should be a good one. Well, guys, is there Andrew? Yeah,
I was just gonna say, y'all remember when 21 was the 6-7? When people used to be like, "What's 9 plus 10?" 21, and 21 was the 6-7 for a while.
I guess I don't remember that. When was that?
You don't remember the video, Johnny? I guess it was Vine, maybe. Curtis, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It was like a Vine, I think, of this kid, and it was like his, older brother or whatever being like, "What's 9 plus 10?" And he's like, 21. And he's obviously, which is not 9 plus 10, but it like became a meme. 21.
Oh, I have to go look that up. I was a big fan of the Vines. The Vines were good. I don't know why. It was like TikTok before TikTok, but then it didn't work out. So either way. Sorry, Quinn. Always got super chats. He says, "Missed free throws killed us."
Yes, that was a thing.
Yeah. You'll be all right, Quinn. You'll be all right. It's gonna be a good team. So, well, guys, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
Nope.
I don't have anything better than the 21 thing, but appreciate everybody for being here. We really do. We really do love this. We really do appreciate the support, even though we give y'all a hard time. Even John Beckman, I do kind of almost appreciate him. But seriously, always fun talking about you guys. Can't wait for tomorrow.
Yep. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in to Inside Arkansas. Be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas on our YouTube page. You can also check out all of our audio version podcasts wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pod at the Palace, Bombastic Podcast, our Inside Arkansas recruiting podcast. And we're going to keep it up to date with everything going on in Razorback sports right here at Inside Arkansas. So that'll do it for us today. For Andrew Ellis, as well as Curtis Wilkerson and intern Cameron, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and we'll see you then.